Call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Harrison County Board of Education for February 16, 2021. Stand now for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Hogan.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Special recognitions and presentations, we have none. Delegations, we have one delegation, correct?
Two,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
another one.
Oh, okay.
Right here, this one.
Two delegations.
Sorry.
All right, first delegation, and I'll read this notice to all speakers before the Harrison County Board of Education. They're asked to express themselves in a civil manner at all times with due respect for the dignity and privacy of others who may be affected by the content of your comments. This is public notice that all meetings of the board are audio taped, and most regular meetings videotaped and televised later on Time Warner Public Access Channel 18. While it's not the intent of the Harrison County Board of Education to ever stifle public input into deliberations, all speakers should be aware that if your public comments made here today violate the rights of any other person, especially under the laws of defamation or invasion of privacy, you may be held legally and individually responsible. If you're unsure of the factual nature of any claim, comment, or allegation you're about to make, the Harrison County Board of Education strongly encourages you to consult first with legal counsel. Two delegations today. First up is Molly Wolford, Clarksburg.
Hello. I also made copies for each member if you would like one as well.
And each speaker has 5 minutes.
Okay. Am I okay to start, or would you like me to?
Yeah, I'd start.
Okay. To the members of the Harrison County Board and all of those in attendance, I understand that the subject of my delegation may not be on the agenda, but I can no longer remain silent as our children suffer the consequences. My name is Molly Wolford, and I come to you today from a stance of utter disappointment. I am tired, frustrated, and in complete shock with the lack of concern for our children's future. My children attend Norwood Elementary School and are in 1st and 5th grade. First, I would like to say that this is not a complaint against teachers. It is anything but. My kids have been blessed with 2 amazing teachers, Mrs. Eisner and Ms. Watson, both of whom have gone above and beyond the call of duty to ensure that my kids are being taught to the best of their limited ability, as well as doing their best to keep a personal relationship with them, even though there's rarely face-to-face interaction. My complaint, or should I say my concern, lies in the actual educational success of my children. The online system and in-person schedule that Harrison County has adopted is failing our children. My kids both maintain a 4.0 GPA, which according to the system is a perfect grade point average. However, recent diagnostic testing, it has been brought to my attention that my child in 5th grade has regressed despite a perfect GPA. According to paper, he is right on track and excelling, but according to testing, he is barely on a 4th grade level. I've had my concerns with the online model for a while, but now I have concrete proof that this system is indeed failing our students. I understand the concern of COVID, but the reality is that what was once a newly discovered pandemic is now a part of our lives. We have to find a way to live with this virus. We have to adapt and find a new normal that is not costing our kids in the future. Last year, when the flu had swept through our system, there were some schools who experienced daily absences of 50 to 70%. Yet we still brought our kids in the classroom and life went on. COVID is serious, but we have something now that we did not have last year. We have knowledge on how to combat it. Vaccines have been distributed to teachers 50 and over, and according to the statistics, they are at the highest risk. If parents have concerns for their kids to return, there is an all-virtual option that will keep their families safe. We can no longer let fear dictate our daily lives. The fact that overall our students are falling behind should be enough to get them back in the classroom tomorrow. But perhaps factual evidence will prove to be more effective in this situation. In West Virginia, most counties across the state have returned to a 4 to 5 day in-person instruction. In fact, Kanawha County, with a population of 178,000, began a full 5-day in-person schedule last week. If you are wondering, Kanawha County is nearly 3 times the size of Harrison County. If a county with the largest population in the state can return to school, then what is stopping us? Uniton grad and immunology expert at Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health had this to say just last week. I don't think the virus will be eliminated. and there won't be a clear moment to celebrate because the pandemic is so hyperlocal. There will be no synchronized conclusion. You see, there is no foreseeable end to this virus. In fact, many medical professionals have stated that COVID-19 will be with us for our lifetime, and we must learn to adapt accordingly. So let's start adapting and start by putting our kids back in school. According to the CDC, schools should be the last to close and the first to open. They have also stated that teachers being vaccinated should not be a prerequisite for students to return to in-person instruction. That was a statement for the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, not my opinion. They say that schools are priority. Furthermore, in-person instruction is priority. My occupation is considered an essential business, and my office has been open fully since June. We wear masks and allow our clients to enter our doors because that's our job and that's what we get paid to do. There's a risk every day of someone coming in with COVID-19, but we must adapt. In fact, I've had clients in my office who are coughing uncontrollably, who have been COVID positive, and even one who just got out of the hospital with COVID pneumonia. Was it scary? Yes, but life went on. We were wearing masks and I was fine. There is no longer a logical explanation to continue a blended model. I should not have to try to figure out how to explain to my children that school is not safe, but it's okay for them to be in daycare the other 3 days a week for 7 to 8 hours a day. It does not make sense. It has to stop. It has to change. The WHO says that school is the safest place for our kids. The school system is not just a place for kids to learn educationally, but also a place to learn social skills and provide an outlet that many kids require to function properly. The psychological and emotional effect that remote learning is having on our kids is alarming. Heck, the psychological effect it has on me is personally just as bad. I'm not a teacher, yet even though I work every day from 8 to 4:30, I still have to come home and teach my kids face-to-face what they cannot understand from learning virtually. I've asked Alexa and Google for help more times than I would like to admit, and there are times I tell my son to leave his work blank because I truly don't know. I tell him I'd rather him leave it blank and learn off of what his teacher has to say. Well, he was not corrected, and I guess part of our remote learning is also accepting that all work is for a completion grade instead of actually grading homework. This is absurd. Our kids are not learning, our kids are memorizing and doing enough to pass the test to finish their work, to get a grade that they have not actually earned. I will conclude with this. There is no reason for our kids not to be in school in person. The CDC and the WHO have encouraged in-person instruction and the governor has mandated it. What else is needed? I would strongly recommend that the board reconsider the current criteria that has been established to start in-person instruction. Let's not wait for green or for all teachers to be vaccinated. Let's put our kids first and let them know that they matter to us, that their future matters to us. Let's adapt to our new normal and give back some sort of normalcy to our kids. They deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Tracy Fitch at Clarksburg.
I think you said it the best. But so I'm coming as a concerned parent also of 2 Harrison County students. My special needs son is in 6th grade. My daughter's a sophomore in high school. I never really had an opinion on how the school system is run, except for the special needs, until this year. First of all, thank you for letting special needs go 5 days a week, because literally he needs to be there. It's a full-time job that I already have. He is the most excellent teacher this year, and I love her so much. He needs to be with her. My daughter maintains a 4.0 and plays 2 sports. With this being said, she also needs to be in school. She thrives in the school setting. It's been difficult and we've struggled, but probably not as much as some others. My point is, I felt since day one, we should have been in school full time. Other states have been going full force and have been fine. For example, though Maryland, they're remote, but they have Zoom calls all day. My daughter is a sophomore. She's barely had a Zoom call. She has all these assignments that I call busy work because I don't feel like she's learning what she needs to move on in school. Everybody's going to be behind. Everybody's going to be struggling. Sports have been affected. Sports is big for her. A lot of people strive with sports. That's where, you know, they learn so much, and that's been affected. Especially she wants to have a scholarship to go play in a college school on that level. She can't do that if she can't get to play. Time's running out is what I'm saying. Like, we need to go back to school. So I know the teachers didn't feel safe to work without the vaccine. Most of you have already gotten both. I mean, we took 2 days off school for you to get that. We need to go back to 5 days. I heard a rumor that said it's going to be like this the rest of the year, the way it is right now. And that is not a good option. You know, we can go back full-time with the option of those to do remote. That more than likely takes the population of the school system down to half, probably. Because the media has this so hyped up. I work personally in 6 counties. I'm in healthcare. I work in people's mouths. There's literally one mask between me and that patient, the one I have on. I don't have anything different than what everybody else has. That they can stand in front of a room in front of these kids and teach them. I'm so close, I could kiss somebody. That's how close I'm working in these people's mouths. So I work in 6 counties. I think we're the only county that has a delay and an early out every single day that we actually go. I don't understand. I do understand, but I don't understand. We're the only ones I think are doing this, and everybody as well as I know knows COVID doesn't have a time frame when it attacks you. I mean, it just doesn't. I know the bus room, bus duty, masses of kids being in one room. I mean, there's ways to alleviate that. I mean, there's no reason why we need to have a delay. The kids don't even get to go to school. And when they go to school, I feel like they should be there as much time as possible, because we don't know if they're going to go back. So, I'm losing my train of thought. So, I mean, you know, the solution to that would be take their temperature as soon as they go into the school. If they're fine, let them go to their first period with a teacher in it. Instead of having all this delay. I mean, we've already missed so much. It's tough for us working parents to get them there, to pick them up. My special needs son, you have to have somebody that's 21 or over to put them on a bus, take them off a bus. It's just a mess. I don't really have that much help, and I have to be at work at 7. I know the teachers didn't sign up to deal with like the sickness. I know they said that, but I mean, you didn't sign up for the flu either. You know what I mean? Like, the flu can kill. So I just think that this is there's things to do and there's things not to do, and I just think that we need to go to school. I think that we need to put the kids first, and I mean, if you think teaching kids like this if you don't think it's a problem for the future social mental development, then maybe you need to find a new career then.
Ms.
Because
Bidley, your 5 minutes is.
okay, that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
This is down to superintendent's update. Ms. Governor.
Yeah, we have several things with superintendent's update. We have technology, and we have an update from Mr. Poole on there. So we had you put down, I don't know whether it's a carryover. Angela, did you ask him?
We had him on there for,
Was it equipment?
yes. Follow up with the equipment, if he was going to go in the classrooms, have people.
I think he started that. They're visiting schools right now. I had spoke to somebody today where they had been there. He's got techs visiting the classrooms for that.
Yeah, I didn't know we were going to be doing this tonight, but yeah, we're out going classroom to classroom and just gathering information on needs. We put a needs assessment together. Last week we met with the principals, and we're going classroom to classroom, and I'll have a full report for the next board meeting if that's okay, and I can bring that and we'll see everything we're looking at. We're looking at things like document cameras, we're looking at projectors and a variety of things like that. We know we're in pretty good shape with the laptops and things, but
Was all 600 cameras passed out? The cameras,
Yes.
the lanes?
yes,
So,
we've done that. We've done trainings on those as well.
so all those 600 have been trained on those cameras. Do we know, are the principals, are they keeping up on it to see if those are being broadcast, or they're actually going to videos? Do we know?
But That's probably a better question for Donna, and Lola Brown headed up the training for that as well. We just took care of the equipment side of it, but they're out there. I know they're being used. I don't know to what degree, but we've got some really good feedback. Donna shared some things with teachers that one teacher said that it was almost a life changer for her, because she teaches music and is able to move and freely within her classroom, and to be able to, it follows her, throughout the classroom. So it picks up very well. You can hear, and that makes it very nice, even beyond a COVID world. You can still record well and get good sound. That's always the limitation. So they get very good sound quality, and so that's helpful for a variety of things. But again, we're out right now, and lots of information. So, no classroom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next update we have is from Mr. Winky. He's going to talk to us about safety in the schools. Doug says he has 5 minutes.
It's not on, is it? The mic?
Todd, you got the mic on?
You're on.
All right, there we go. It's kind of hard with the mask to begin with and to be able to talk. I had Mr. Poole scan some documents in. I want to show you our most recent build. That was Lincoln High School prior to the start of the construction of using existing space to have a confinement area. Second photograph is the hallway I made where the door for the entrance to the outside came into the school. You can see a lot of equipment, a lot of desk area had to be removed. Third is also another shot of everything we took out. The next picture is the front of where the secretary sat. It was open to the back administration area, and you'll see that the pictures we go on, how we walled that off and put a door there. The next is a sitting area that we made, so those doors you see in the windows were taken out, walled up, and the cabinets removed, and you'll be able to see the seats that we have there. The next one, what happened was in the funding that you provided, these costs for these jobs aren't easy, and maintenance came through. I thank Mr. Lopez for that, and his staff came forward to fund the outside of the build, and we had to be ADA accessible. So you're going to see his workers in maintenance made a beautiful ramp, and it took them quite some time to do it, but they did an awesome job. And you'll see the finished product coming up here, and you can see the rail, and you have the ramp they could use for a wheelchair, walker, and you also have the regular staircase. And the next picture, bringing in, that's the entrance now. So if you saw the picture with the cop machine, all that stuff on the wall, that's now a hallway. And you see the next photo is a shot from inside looking back. So when they walk in that door, we have all that protective window material, and we have a drop box there. So meaning they can put a backpack in, you get at the other side, and not knowing all this with virus, the other thing with that, it limits contact between staff and parents coming in. Next photo is the section where we have, there's more than one seat there right now, but that's where you sit in the principal's area, but you're not in the main area of other staff. And you'll see where the seats are, and that's where people come in if they do a meeting with administration. They're able to get buzzed in, and they can sit over there waiting for their meeting. So that's the finish of that. Real quick, I just want to show you what Big Elm looks like finished without going through the whole process. You see the next doors you come in, they have paper packets pick up so they don't have to come any further. If they do come in, you see those two doors, that's all new, that whole wall. That wasn't there. That was right directly open to the library in both wings. It was wide open, so that's now closed off now. But it's seamless. If you look at it, it looks just like the front entrance. And if you look at the other photo, if you turn to the left, you'll see where the box is, drop your, whatever they're missing, lunch, book bags, jackets. And you also have the glass there protective, and there's a secure entrance down to the administration area. If you're going to go back there, you get buzzed. If not, you sit out here in a waiting area. The next picture is a view from the inside where the secretaries sit, what they're seeing outside. Again, if you look at all this, this is all done using existing space. I know it's easy to just build something new and spend over $500,000-$600,000 doing it, and I'm doing these for obviously for less than $100,000 each. So we saved a lot of money, but I really want to try to move on. We're doing South Harrison now. I want to explain to the board, I wasn't fully aware that the elementary school is now connected to the middle school. The middle school is unsecured school. You're in that door, you come in these front doors, that's it. You're in the whole school. I think somehow, some way, I'm hoping the board can figure a way how we can get this build done for the middle school, and it's an easy build, I'm gonna go through it with you, to have this done while you're still doing the elementary school. So if you go to the next picture, you'll see what I have there. I drew 2 doors. So that's open right now. So those would be 2 steel doors, something like you saw at Bing L, but it'll be colored the brown that they're using. The front office door would stay the same. It's a wooden door. It already has a carrier reader on it. And if you see one of the windows, what I'm going to do is take part of that window out and put a drop box there. So when you come in, those front doors, you can't go past until you go to the office. You're going to get buzzed in there, or you're going to need a carrier reader to get into the main part of school. So it's blocked off from the main part of where all the children are. The next one, you'll see again where the drop box would be. And again, using existing space so we can save some money. Next one's the back side. So you have the gym and everything, and I worked with Fire Marshal well enough to know you have to be able to panic out. So they're all welcome to leave. It's coming in, you'll need a carrier reader. So that's what you'll see, I had the bars there. Again, same thing I did at Big Elm, small windows so you can see something on the side so you're not pushing in, not knowing somebody's there. But again, you have nice egress going back out outside the school. If you see it, there's a firebox. We'll go, okay, let's go to carrier. Those doors you're seeing right there are doors to the cafeteria, wood doors. Those would be taken out. If you look at the front doors right there, coming into the building, they would match that. So meaning you need a carrier reader to get into the cafeteria, but all those kids can exit and then exit the building if they had to in case there was a fire. So what we're looking at here is doors. That's the inside of the cafeteria looking out. So you got a set of doors near the front office. You got a set of doors near the cafeteria that had to be changed, and adding of a box. And the last picture, I was talking to Mr. Lopez about this, actually was last summer, and that's when it dawned on me that was going to be part of that school. I thought it was going to be a separate entity. They had this door going into the elementary cafeteria on the other side where we're trying to make it a controlled entrance. So they met with the contractors, and that was supposed to be switched to where I'm showing you now that door is going to be. So the little kids also can't run outside of school. They're, that should be able to tell this. Obviously, they can get out through a panic door, but again, it shows a differentiation between going into the administration section of middle school and staying in the section for elementary. The cost of this, you're looking at 3 sets of doors. I don't really think it's going to cost like 60. I think it's more like about 30 to 40. But it's something I'm hoping the board can talk about to try to fund while we're doing the school build. It makes sense to get it done at the same time.
Would this be a change order with the contractors we currently have? Or would this be a separate contract with a different company?
That's something that Superintendent and Mr. Lopez can discuss.
I think it would have to be a bid out.
Technically, it's part of the same school, so it could be.
We're going to work in all 3 schools.
Yeah, and that's when I go to the South Harrison High School next.
The current contractor building Law Street?
We're putting an elevator in South Harrison High School, and we're going to work in the middle school to move rooms.
Yeah, but the money that we're getting from the SBA, wouldn't that preclude being able to use that?
No, we've already paid more than we
they're giving us 1.5, we've already exceeded what, we're paying another two. Yeah, we're at 4.2 million for the entire project. We went to the SBA at 2.5, and we're at 4 because we added things to it anyway. I mean, you can ask for an opinion, but I guarantee it's in the same scope of the because we are doing work at all 3 schools in this. There's an elevator that's in the high school that wasn't in the original SBA, but we added.
I'd like to see the opinion on it, because I think I'd want to do it the right way.
Oh, absolutely.
If
I'm sure
it's something we have to bid, we should bid it. But then again, the other question I have is, I understand maintenance is extremely strapped right now. What would be the possibility of our maintenance personnel being able to handle something like this?
Well, and we've been going really actually above and beyond with the work that's being done now over in the high school. So Joe and Ken and I really need to go out there and take a look at that on site and see exactly what we're able to do and how we're able to fund it, whether we can do it as a change order or whether we can do it with some of our general fund. But we want to try to get it done simultaneously, so that when we open up Lost Creek Elementary School, that we also have a secure entrance for the middle school as well. That's what we're at.
I don't want to strap the maintenance department. I mean, you're gonna have to need a recommendation from you as to what's gonna be able to happen.
Well,
I don't want Joe to retire off of this one.
The problem is, I mean, if we can get it as a change order, that's the way to do it, because otherwise if we bid it out,
Yeah,
we're gonna be done building by the time we get it bid.
Yeah, you're not looking at a very large project. And really, we're doing work right in and around that area. So, yeah, but we'll check with Christina and make sure that everything is done.
Can you bring us back information by our next meeting on that, find out get an opinion on it, we get us information?
Sure, absolutely. Yeah.
I think there was some discussion earlier about talking with the contractor to see if he would be willing to do it.
Problem is,
And
it's so small that you're not gonna get a lot of bidders on it to begin
So
with.
it might be something that he can work with Joe on.
You know, if you're talking $30,000, you're not gonna get a lot of contractors that'll bid to go in while another contractor's already in there.
Right.
That's my only.
I just kind of feel like we're micromanaging something, whereas I feel instead of waiting 2 more weeks of a delay and bringing it back to us, I mean, if it could be a change order, I just think they should do it. I mean, is that something? that
Well,
we
change
have to
orders,
vote on?
change orders would have to be voted on.
We still vote on it, but if it's something that purchasing says, yeah, you can do it, it's not a problem, just go ahead and see what it is and then bring us the change order rather than.
Because I think we all.
I think we can find
it.
it, I think the funding,
Yes, it has to be
funding's
done.
not an
Yeah,
Mhm.
so how it's done, I just feel
Function
like
of how it's done.
probably.
issue. The funding
Well, I
would not
think
be the problem. Yeah.
They bring the information, they can gather the information, bring the information to Mrs. Stutler.
Yeah.
And then.
Let her-
Yeah, I think what you're saying, if
Recommendation.
it can't be a
Okay.
change order, just bring us the change order. and we'll vote on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll make-
It doesn't make sense to have
There's
3 schools
no
and not
reason
bid
that
us
we-
secure
In the same vein, so now if we get South Harrison Middle and it's attached to the elementary is obviously already secure, and then we do South Harrison Middle. My point is, let's get that southern part of county just finished then. And then we're looking at South Harrison High School. And you see the first photo there, there's already a walkway. We just had to build a pad and a door, and Todd, pull the next picture. So if you look, those windows to the right is to the front office. That's the front office area. Right now, you enter all the way over, probably about 100 feet through those doors. You're in the cafeteria, you're in the main part of school, you're all over the place, and you got to find your way to the office.
Right.
So this is what you see what this door is going to be. You need a pad and a small canopy, carrier reader, and the bottom windows are placed so you can see out, so you have line of sight. But go to the next photo, and basically what you have here is what we had at Lincoln High School with that narrow type hallway this one's already there, but you can take all the kitchenette stuff out of there. So that would all come out. If you see the next photo, this is inside the school. So that was a safe at one time. So you would still put a window on the left-hand side and still the opening, keep a window there, and then use the block, build it up, and put your drop box there. So again, we're using existing space. So they're not entering into the school yet. They're still in that confinement area. And Todd gets the next picture. This is a jewel. Of all places where that door is going to be, it's like a spaghetti of wires and equipment. Todd moved the school equipment. He's been working with outside vendors that have equipment on that wall to move it over, and pull the next picture up. Luckily, there's a wall nearby. So a lot of that wire was loose wire to begin with, so it's not going to be a large expense in moving all that equipment over that far wall. And if the previous picture again, that's where the door would be to enter in. So when they enter in, as soon as they turn to the right is where the table and the desk area is right there, countertop, where they would check in with administration, secretaries, and wait for a meeting with either principal or vice principal. There's seats right there. If they went to the left or stuck, that's the wall that you see there. So they're stuck in that front office area, and that would be a care reader door also. So again, we're limiting access to schools, limiting exposure throughout the school. And that would be ideal to get that part of the county done, because we already did Salem. We got the Big Elm, Lincoln, and you got another far section of the county, the southern part, and you're doing a build. I was talking to Superintendent, this is the time to nail that shut and have that done. And I'll close with this. We get this, I've been doing this yearly, trying to get some monies each year to do a little bit each time. But I appreciate what the board has given so far to these builds, but you have to understand, if we did it the other way, we'd be millions into this. I'm truly using existing space, thinking outside the box, and using what we have to build and saving a lot of money. And I would hope to entertain with the budgets that they're coming forward for another 4 primary and intermediate done. Obviously, they're at a joint school, they have to be done together. That school, Bridgeport High School and Bridgeport Middle is the next 4 I would put forward, and hoping that we can get funding and to get the vast majority of schools finally on the same level as other schools.
What about West Milford, is it?
West Milford, that was the first school I
That's already done.
Mhm.
Okay.
Can you just paint those doors on there like you mark on the picture? It'd be cheaper.
I wish it was that simple. But if you really look at it, especially South Harrison Middle School, it's not cutting into, all we're doing is that we're taking that one glass window. Everything else is just framing, taking doors out and framing it. So that's going to be the cheapest. This one obviously be a little bit more because they have to go through the block and everything and make the windows. But still, I still think it'd be less than Lincoln. And Lincoln was 60 plus 20 for what they did outside.
I think we still stand where we stood on the middle school, same thing. I mean, that's all one together. So
Yeah.
whatever you guys come back with, and we'll vote on that.
I appreciate your support in trying to secure our schools. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Ken.
Ken, I appreciate that, because he's been working hard on these. I remember when he came out to visit the schools that I was in, trying to work on that when he first came, so.
Right.
You've gotten a lot accomplished for the amount of money that you've spent.
Right, thank you.
So, appreciate it. We have one other thing on the superintendent's update. We had our United Technical Center meeting with Mr. Hogue. He attends with me on Fridays, and we just had one last Friday. So do you have an update for us?
Well, basically, they even got to talking about, where they had all the braking is entering and the things taken and all the converters off of the vehicles. So started out, about a fence, and he's got the fence companies giving him his estimates and what have you. But then they got this other idea, well, maybe we would rather put a police officer on site rather than a fence. Well, as things are going now, I think the effectiveness of the police officers on the site, is becoming less and less effective. And some are retiring, and so rather than add a home and everything and pay everything out, we think that, he needs to maybe continue to pursue the fence. It would come out being a lot cheaper, and like I said, we feel like it would do pretty much the same thing the same benefits would be
Fence doesn't
received.
need health care and,
Uh,
Fence doesn't need health care and retirement.
In a
That's
house.
right.
And a house.
In a house.
You brought up a good point, like with the retirements. Do we have retired officers in the houses at the school?
I think we had one. I think we have one. at this
Well,
time.
At
why
Liberty.
would-
Liberty's a retired state.
Yeah.
So why would we have anyone that's retired watching over our schools because they can't do anything as retired officers?
I don't think we do, I mean, who is?
Well, he just retired.
Yeah.
Right, but wouldn't be part of the.
Sanders.
Mark Sanders.
Mark
The
Sanders
deal with
is
the house
there,
would
yeah.
be, like, the whole idea was to have an officer.
Yeah, they're supposed to take the house with them and move, is the way it's supposed to, once you retire, and then the land comes back to us for the next one, but that was an idea that they did years ago, put troopers at different, that's how it started out, was with state troopers. We still have the one in South Harrison, which has been a deputy. The only problem you have with those is that is taking into consideration thinking that the officer that lives there is going to be in that house 24/7, and that's not the case. They're either working or they're out doing whatever, so I don't know that it gives you the coverage that we
So
thought we were
that
getting.
was initially thought of.
I don't think that it gives you what we thought we were getting, because the trooper goes on vacation for a week, you're not covered. That's why I think in this instance, I think a fence is much.
Well, that, and then cameras and things of that nature there, we, in the long run, is going to be just as beneficial.
Are
as
there not
we-
cameras though?
They have some
They
cameras,
have a
but they would
few, yeah.
want to, increase the number around the property once they get it in, totally enclosed.
Did anyone investigate all those robberies?
Oh, yeah.
Anybody arrested?
Not yet,
You're out in the middle of nowhere.
not yet, so,
Well, I know, like, what you were saying about the inconsistency with the officers. I mean, with I think we need to look at the officers that are in our current situation.
We've only got two.
We only have what?
Two, correct?
Two, what?
Liberty has one in South Harrison.
We also have one,
Liberty.
Lincoln.
Yeah.
Do we have duties set up for them?
No, it was just, the legislature allowed that to happen, that school systems could give them a piece of property. They put the house on, they own the house, but they live on our property, as a deterrent. But over the years, there were a lot of them got them, and it's still really, there's very few compared to
No,
how.
I do think it is a deterrent, though, the bad guys don't know what they're.
Well, it kind of is, but if their vehicle's gone from the time they're working, they may work in another county, then that's not a deterrent during those work hours because they're not at their house. So, it kind of is, but I think that it ended up causing more problems because then the person retires, then you've got to basically evict them.
Do we have a contract with that? Like, if we can revisit that, like, if you're gonna stay here, you have to do so many, like, look at our schools and there's nothing, that was all legislature, that wasn't us?
Yeah, no, they just said that we could give them a plot of land, they can place a house there, so they own the house. Now, we own the house at South Harrison.
South Harrison, and I.
They're really all set up differently. We've been investigating
All
that.
this
Some-
occurred prior
Ours was
to
different.
having any type of security.
It was before PR, long before.
Yeah.
Right, I understood that, I just didn't know, like, kind of where we work with all that, and then what input we have or not have in that. Like, I'm surprised the legislature set it up, and we have no input in there, and then what responsibilities if they're using.
We still had, as a board, previous boards had to give them that. The legislature didn't say they didn't deem that that's a previous board had to say, yeah, they can move in there.
Right.
It just becomes a problem when the person retires or whatever. You go tell them, okay, you've been there 20 years, now you need to go. That leaves it on us to say that. And that's the problem. Because they own the house, but with the exception of South
Plus our,
Harrison.
yeah, our
But
maintenance.
we put a lot of money into
Yeah.
South Harrison because we have to maintain a house.
We pay the utilities for all of them.
Yeah,
we pay the utilities.
on even the ones we don't
Okay,
own.
I think it's good, especially like South Harrison, because you're out there in the middle of nowhere, it's been 20 minutes for you back up, so if you do have an officer there,
Yeah, but that house was vacant for over 2 years.
and it should never have been there.
But the officer didn't give up the house, so.
That's amazing, like I had no idea about any of this.
Yep.
I always saw the house right there at Varsity B. I never knew what to do.
We don't own the house, we just own the land. That
Yeah.
house, correct?
Now, we,
The-
RCV.
Robert C. Byrd.
Yeah.
I think that one is owned by the board.
Oh, it
Yes,
is, okay.
because I know Joe said the maintenance department had to go up
We-
and put a new hot water tank.
Now, I think the only one is actually owned by
The
the individual,
officer?
is it? Big Al?
Oh, big L.
Yeah, that's the only one.
But I can gather some information.
But I mean, obviously,
Yeah, that's why, I'll be honest with you. I'd like to
if a
see
person
more
retires,
policies.
they
I
shouldn't be
didn't
able to
know
live there.
anything about it.
Yeah, if you got some information on it, because I would just like to know more.
Sure.
I mean, those bring up a good point about all the ones we have in the county and who's in there, and what's the.
Yeah,
What's the
yeah, give us-
criteria?
Just give them guidelines. and-
Bring us a report.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
Okay.
that's all new.
And-
Mr. President, can I make one comment about health that, about like the thermostat taking the temperatures at the doors? Not to get any answer back, but just what you guys all taught me.
Yeah, I mean, we usually do it in the board member comments, but
I wanted to do it because it continues to come up with our delegation. And I, like them, have said the same thing, you know, why aren't we taking I mean, we said it last board member. And, you know, I don't think a lot of people understand, like I didn't, that the reason why is because that then all of a sudden when the buses come, you have 700 kids trying to get in one door, and because of the contact. And I know it seems like it makes a lot of sense, because that's what I thought the very first time this came out. Do you think it's better sense to have it taken at the classrooms, and that we did address this last meeting? But there's a lot of things that people don't understand the flip side of it, such as taking the temperature. And that'd be something once we have our new social, our communications, because I was like everybody else thinking, well, why aren't we taking the temperatures at the door, like at the courthouse and stuff? And the reason why is because you have 700 kids at one time getting off a bus at one door. And and it's a higher risk at that point than to even have them in there. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that I think we should put flip sides on once we get our communication specialists on the health issues. And also some information on our staffing, that you can't have kids there if staff members are out and sick.
Correct.
So, and that has to.
And usually the staffing issue comes up if you have several teachers quarantined.
Exactly.
Yeah, sometimes it'll
There's nothing
take
we can do
out,
about that.
sometimes it will take out several classrooms and teachers.
Yeah,
So-
and I just think that like me and many people out there haven't been told that exactly and didn't understand. And I'm on the board and I didn't always understand that until I sat down with you. And I've said this, that maybe there needs to be a clear explanation on some of the things that we do. And it's not that we don't want them there 5 days, but there's, you know.
We had initial guidance from our state health department about school temperatures, and they did not recommend that we take those at the door. And then I spoke with our health department here after our last meeting and our head nursing coordinator, because it came up at our principals meeting, and they do not recommend to take temperatures at the door coming in for all the students. But they do recommend taking temperatures of visitors and people in the offices. So we do have funding, and then we've decided to purchase those. I don't even know what they are. They're almost like an iPad, so we can have those in our offices, so we don't have our secretaries getting up and taking temperatures. Because we do have the money to do that. They were not that expensive, and we're purchasing 2 of those for every building, because we are anticipating going back in for more than the 2 days, so we're trying to prepare for that. We've also had a request to purchase all of the employees at least 1 N95, and I believe that we're going to be able to get those. We're checking on that right now, so I think we've got those ordered, so when we do go back in, they'll have an N95 mask. We can get 1 per staff member. And then also we're getting the petitions for 3, 4, and 5. So that'll finish out our elementary schools with petitions. They believe that they'll be using these even past COVID, I mean, for flus or whatever. So we're trying to prepare for that. And we're also getting estimates on, there's been a lot of requests for the portable air purifiers. And the charcoal filters and the upkeep on those would be astronomical, like once you would purchase the individual units. So we are looking at building air ionizers that actually just go into the systems, and we've got Joe working on that right now. It's the least expensive, and we do have CARES money to take care of PPE and safety to return back to school. That was part of it too, to get us back in school. So Joe is visiting every building. He's going to have us a report. I think he has about 8 of the buildings done right now to give us an idea of what that's going to take. So part of this CARES money is to get us back in to have our faculties and staff to feel like they're safe and to have our students safe while they're there.
The late start and the early leave, can that be adjusted?
We've talked about that. That's been brought up. The reason, and it is because of those morning bus rooms. That was one of the things when I sat down with the health director, Chad Bundy, and there's Nancy Joseph is the medical doctor that works at the health department. We looked at every area in a school that has the largest gatherings. And they said, is there some, and they were just small mitigation things that we could do. If the children can get off the bus, go straight in and not have a bus room, that's avoiding one whole large area where kids tend to gather. We know that it spreads in social gatherings when they're together. That was the reason for that, was so we could avoid those early morning bus rooms, and in the evening they leave and just go straight and get on their bus, so they're not gathering in groups. That was just another mitigation recommendation from our health department that we do that. Some of the schools are letting out, I know Marion County, they let out, some of them are letting out at 2. They're letting out earlier to avoid the evening. We decided to divide ours instead of doing 2 hours at the end of the day to avoid that, but it's the morning. So you got kids coming in off of buses, and you've got, you can have all 500 of your kids coming in the one bus room, and it's like a holding area. They're all sitting in there eating. Right now, we really only have that now at lunch. And because we're in 2 days, we can social distance at lunch. And what they are saying is that if we can social distance and wear masks, we can be in safely. So that's why we're trying to keep as much space, and because really that's what we're down to, masking and trying to social distance. But it's impossible in some of our schools to be 6 feet.
Couldn't they still get there early, and then instead of sitting in the bus room, just have a teacher to escort
Well,
them to
can
the
I
bus?
tell, we have buses that arrive at 7 o'clock, and our teachers' schedules don't start till 7:30. So we do not have people, we usually schedule bus rooms. We rotate teachers through on bus rooms because they will work longer than an 8-hour day. We would have them stay, if they would come at 7 and work till 3:30 till that last bus left, you're working them much longer than their normal day.
Right, but not every bus is dropping off at 7, so can we not spread those kids out within, who would get there first before those other kids drop at 7:30, so that we can, then there's other kids coming in, just have them escorted to their classrooms, and then it doesn't disrupt. They get more time in the schools, because if you're talking social distancing, well, you could easily be at a gymnasium with those early buses until the teachers arrive at 7:30. I'm just trying to, like,
When you,
at the beginning, and now, but now we've grown.
when you look at an instructional day for kids, I mean, they recommend that there's 315. There's a lot of time. I came from an elementary school. There's a lot of transition time, a lot of lunch time. I mean, there is playtime. We've cut all of that out, and now those times that they're there, they're in classes. So, I mean, that's really what you're saving. You would add back in maybe some recess time and things. That's all been taken out of those schedules while they're there. They're in class, they go to lunch, they have classes in the afternoon. There's a lot of built-in non-instructional time in a school day. So we really probably just eliminated that. And the difficulty is for parents that need to drop off early, and we've made some exceptions, and we possibly could move that back for parents that are dropping off early. But those buses, when they pick up, I mean, they're probably still picking up at 7:15. You know what I mean? Those first rounds are 7 o'clock. So if you're putting a child on a bus, but the reason was, those were recommendations given to us by the health department to mitigate some of those large crowds.
I understand that. I'm just thinking also during those times that are built in, it gives kids opportunities to socialize. And I think that's that mental aspect that we don't think of. We're trying to push all the other stuff, but there's a mental aspect where kids need to be kids.
It's kind of a mixed bag because we're asking, kids to social distance, to be safe and to wear masks.
Right,
and
but
then
now
we're
you're just
going
giving them time, and they're wearing masks, they're social distancing, but they also.
And I mean, and they still have built in their phys ed time, their planning schedules, where they get to be with kids in a more social environment, but. And they have their lunches. I mean, and the lunches are set up now where we are, I mean, we know the kids are sitting at the same tables every day. So if we have a positive in that group, we're not wiping out that whole table. We know that that child sat with these 4 people. You know what I mean? And it's taking out smaller. We are getting smarter when it comes to how to mitigate and to isolate the kids, because you're not wiping out whole groups. They're still recommending that if we have a positive in an elementary classroom, that whole classroom quarantine. That's still a recommendation. Now, the high schools, in middle schools, we're doing seating charts, and we're only taking off the diagonals. So it's only getting sometimes 4 children if there's a positive. So we are getting better at doing that. But elementary, they're still recommending, because they are so social and they're around each other, if you have a positive in an elementary classroom, that whole classroom gets quarantined.
See, I would love this on Facebook, because I don't think too many people look at this, and we only have a limited audience. In other words, the reason why I wanted to make my.
There's been reasons for everything that we've done, from health departments and medical professionals.
It's not us just like sitting here making decisions, and we have to entrust them in. I have, as just a normal person, had many of these questions answered by asking this, and I just think what you just said is very good, and possibly we should put it out once we, get exactly what you said, because you just informed me of about 50% of new things that I.
And we are learning. I mean, we've learned a lot from when we started, and the governor had recommended 5 days per week, but they actually came back and said that we could do a blended model, because there are different communities that have higher transmission rates. And guidance says if there's a high community transmission rate, then if you social distance and wear masks, you can get back in school. Well, the social distancing is the piece that is very difficult. And when we go back on a regular 5-day schedule, there will be full buses, where now we are sitting probably 2 to a seat. Can separate on the buses. So, but we are wanting, I mean, we are doing steps to get back in 5 days, and we are really looking good to be green soon. I've talked to Mr. Bundy at the health department, and we went from red to orange to yellow, and we're right now a good solid yellow, and the next color is green.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and we said that we would be back in.
Yeah, I have to honestly say, I have to agree with Mr. Doherty on the late start and the early exit. I just think if we're gonna have these kids on a bus, you know what I mean, packed together on a bus, what's the difference of having them packed together inside of a, not even packed together, but socially distanced inside of a gymnasium? I just honestly think that we need to, if we're gonna go back 5 days a week, we need to go back, we need to go back to the regular schedule. I mean, that's my feeling on the matter.
Well, I really think we just cross that bridge when we get to it.
That's
We're not there
point.
yet.
That's right.
I mean,
We're getting there.
We're much closer than we were just even a few weeks ago.
But when it gets.
And we have our 40 and older employees vaccinated at this point, 40 and older. We still have about 400 that would like to have the vaccine.
Our summer program, are we getting information out? Have we got any more updates on where we plan for that?
When we had the principals in last Tuesday, and we talked about how we were going to do that, but now it seems like we maybe are going to narrow the scope, and I don't think that's a bad idea, to look at each feeder area and have maybe an elementary, middle, and a high program in each feeder area, and narrow the scope. So we could get something out to the parents and say, you want to sign up, we could send that out.
Yeah, I would like to have something out to the parents.
I agree.
Sign up.
Better than
Sign up and just asking for interest.
And I know also last time we met, we talked about just what was brought up today was the kids, their grades might be this, but actually their testing in person, we were talking about when they were evaluated in person, what were they actually showing? Were they showing that they were proficient or at that grade level in their math or the core subjects? Has that happened yet? Have they done an evaluation of the kids, and are they all at the levels they need to be at? So, and if not, can those kids who are not performing at that level go, hey, you need to sign up, or we really are recommend you do sign up for our summer program, like, how have we done that evaluation in person, not the online stuff, like in-person evaluation?
The benchmarking is being done while they are in person to get that.
We have 80%
Right.
completed.
Yeah.
It was in person, that middle of the year benchmark. Started February 1st and it will continue through the 26th. We're doing it on the days that students are face-to-face. And so we have 80% completed for our elementary and middle school on that middle of the year. And also at the semester, we had our retention list that our principals were looking at, and they had identified some students that they were looking at to target as well. So we do have lists being generated.
Okay, is that it on?
If we can just get through this weather. Now we're having the bad weather days.
I'm done, I'm done.
Yeah, I have nothing else for superintendent's update.
Moves us down to approval of consent items. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. New business, approval of desk partitions.
Make a motion to approve desk partition purchase.
Second that.
It's moved and seconded. Any discussion?
What's your cost on this?
$114,385.
This is from CARES.
75 cents.
Yes.
And paid for with the CARES money. The $13 million we're getting, or $15 million, is it?
Yes, it's from actually the original.
Oh, the original.
This is just an addition.
Remember initially, we purchased the K1, 2,
K1, 2,
because they
this is
did not,
3,
it was the mask piece of it.
Yeah, I just think I'm in the same thing as before. I mean, they're wearing masks. I just don't want these kids to be so isolated that they're afraid to have any kind of contact at all. I mean, I don't want them living in a world of just fear. I mean, they're wearing masks, they're social distance. Now you're going to put them in a bubble. I think you're going to affect them mentally.
All right, well, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Opposed.
Motion carries. Substitutes in critical need,
Yeah.
2020 to 2021.
I make a motion to accept critical needs, substitutes and critical needs.
This is continuation, correct?
Yeah, we update this every year. It depends on, when we have a position that we cannot fill and it stays open quite a while, then we determine that, we do not have substitutes certified in that area. So this allows us to put substitutes in that may be retired, and they can only work so many days. It allows us to waive that and allow them to be in the positions for longer. So it just really opens up the doors to have more substitutes available.
My only thing on that, and I know it's a need, and it's occurred for forever, but I think that we need to maybe go a little different direction in that you and your staff check out the people that's going to go into these critical areas, and you make the choice as to who you want to put in that, rather than leaving it up to the building principals. I think that, you can look back and look at their history and how well they, during their career and what they did, and then you make the choice to see if that person would go into that area, rather than leaving it up to the building principal, say, to pick.
Agree.
Couldn't the building principal make the recommendation?
They can make a
and sign off
recommendation.
on the recommendation?
That would be
If you
fine.
agree or not.
That would-
Yeah, because right now, if they have a long-term, generally, when they put a sub into that position, well, they'll usually call and ask us what subs we have available if they can't find somebody. That's usually when I get involved, is if they cannot find somebody. So we definitely can make that more of an oversight. Yeah,
All
for
right,
sure.
it's been moved and seconded.
Kristen.
I'll second. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Gore Elementary School project bid, and I'm going to recuse myself from deliberation and voting on that because my son works for one of the bidders, not in any decision-making capacity. It's just a laborer, but I'm out of abundance of caution. I will recuse myself from that. So, Mr. Vice President, if you want to.
Yeah, so we have the Gore Elementary School project bid. Is there a motion to accept the Gore Elementary School project bid as presented?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Motion,
Motion, $7,591,000 from city construction for construction to the Gore Elementary project as recommended by the superintendent.
Motion has been made to accept. Is there a second?
Second.
Second has been made. Is there any discussion? No discussion. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried with note to President Hamrick's recusal.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. Brings us down to old business. Bridgeport High School funding request for contingency money for band uniforms. We had this presentation last time, and it appears that the total amount is $33,251, and under our contingency, we can supply half of that as long as they have half, up to $20,000. So that would put us on the hook for $16,000.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Revisions to policy 4304, student records and parental rights. This was placed on a 30-day comment period, January 7th to February 5th. No comments were received. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept policy revisions 4304, student records and parental rights.
I'll second it.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
All this does is mirror what the state has. We haven't had any.
Okay. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Brings us down to personnel and personnel matters.
I move to accept personnel matters as presented.
I would like, I would like to go into executive session. to
I'll
discuss-
withdraw my,
If you want to read the personnel provision.
I move pursuant to 6984 of the West Virginia Code that the board go into executive session to discuss personnel and personnel matters, which if discussed in public might affect adversely the reputation of any person.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We'll be in executive session.
Bring some for Sharon.
return to regular session.
Move that we return to regular session.
Moved and seconded. He moved, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That brings us down to what we were originally in under personnel matters. Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve personnel matters as presented.
I had to do a recusal on page 8. Thomas G. Darty is my uncle.
Oh, is he really?
Yes.
It's, all right.
He's
it's
a
been-
good uncle. I like him.
It's been moved and
Good to me.
seconded with the note of recusal from Mr. Daugherty.
Yes.
Can we
Is,
recognize David?
Yeah,
Can we say hi to
That's-
David?
we will after.
Okay, oh.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion
Motion carries, and that, our executive session wasn't about you.
You were hired. This is David Oliverio. He's going to be our new
You want to
communications.
come tell us something real quick?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is an impromptu interview right now. You've already been hired, so you should be.
interview.
That's right.
Very excited.
Hi, my name is David Oliverio. I'm from Clarksburg. Some of you may know my dad. I've spent the last 10 years working in college athletics, basically as a PR/marketing/advertising person who I wore a lot of hats. So I'm, really looking forward to working with this body and serving the community at large.
Awesome.
Thank you.
I just want to say one thing. We won't hold it against you about your dad. Because I was born and raised in Eastview, and he had a barber shop in Eastview.
Yep.
And when we was all little and young, he taught us how to play cards and took all of our nickels.
Well,
He was teaching us the card game.
he got that from my nanny, who took everybody's money. I promise you that. I promise you that.
I mean, took all of our paper route money, you know.
Well, welcome aboard.
Welcome.
Welcome.
And
Thank you.
I know your father very well. I'm a Notre Dame graduate. and
Okay.
My kids were there when he was there helping, and I just have the most respect for your father. He's such a hard worker, and
Yes,
he's
he is.
involved
Well, I'll
so
say
much.
something about your mom. I worked with your mom, so.
It's a competition.
Don't hold that against me.
Now, yeah.
All in the family.
That's how you got hired, because of your mother.
Yeah, she gets kudos too. I like.
And I didn't know either one of them, so. You interviewed very well.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Moves down to legal and disciplinary matters. We have none on there. Board member comments, Mr. Daugherty.
I'm excited when we get back to 5 days a week.
I'm good.
Mr. Hope?
I'm good.
Just one question. It's been raised, an inquiry that I would like you to address in regards to the 40 and under vaccination policy and how we were able to determine who was next in line when it came down to vaccinating the 40 and under population.
Okay, we have had that question. As you know, we had the initial 2 rounds of vaccines and they were registered and we were given a list. And then the second round of vaccines were the same. And we did all the 50 and older. When we got down to that 40 and up age group, we had a list. When we got down to 40 and under, that initial vaccination with the 40 and up group, we did not realize we had several people that did not show up for the vaccine. So that put us down below 40. And there were names on there from 40 and under. It was a generated list from the state. They had registered 40 and under. They'd sent it to us. Some of them did not have phone numbers. So we had several people there calling, trying to get a hold of people. I think it was a small amount of vaccine, and they actually just called and got a hold. They went down the list, so it could have maybe went over somebody if they didn't have a number or couldn't get a hold of them, or they might have called and didn't get an answer. They just moved on to the next person. And so we got a handful of they were 38, 39-year-olds.
Okay.
So it was just really whoever answered the phone first.
Okay.
From that.
Okay.
Vaccine time.
What's the window once the vaccine's open? You can't make call vaccine.
No, you can't hold them once they're, yeah. And plus, we're working with a pharmacist and they tell us to get a hold of 5 people.
We're at their mercy, but at
and
the
you
same
get
time,
5 people.
our nurses, like I said, their job isn't logistics, but it has to be now.
And
I
we
think
weren't
they're
in the
doing-
vaccine business.
They're
and
doing
we-
a great job.
Yeah, so we're out of the
And
vaccine
you're going to,
business.
it doesn't matter if you're going to vaccinate 1,000 people, there's going to be holes and cracks, and it's not going to be
It was just
Everyone's
important
okay.
that the vaccine got in an arm.
Right.
That we
Yeah,
didn't waste any, yeah.
So we're good with that. Anything else?
No, sir.
And I have nothing further. So is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Mr. Hope.
Children of peace, go in peace.
Be careful. Be protecting.
Take a piece of chicken.
Really.